The earliest reference to the painting of the Mona Lisa in chronological terms is a diary entry from a traveling Italian, Antonio de Beatis, who is passing through Amboise, where Leonardo da Vinci is living in the last years of his life, in the year 1517. And he and his employer, Luigi d'Aragona, visit the venerable figure of Leonardo da Vinci.
October 10th. Our master went with the rest of us to one of the suburbs to see Messer Leonardo da Vinci of Florence, an old man of more than 70, one of the most outstanding painters of our day. He showed the cardinal 3 pictures, one of a certain Florentine woman portrayed from life at the request of the late magnificent Giuliano de' Medici, another of the young St. John the Baptist, and one of the Madonna and a child in the lap of St. Anne. All 3 works are quite perfect, though nothing good now can be expected from his brush, as he suffers from paralysis in the right hand.
And it is generally thought that the third one, this certain Florentine lady, is indeed the Gioconda or Mona Lisa. How and why the painting is described as done at the instigation of Giuliano de' Medici is a little bit of a mystery. But this seems to be the first physical spotting or sighting of the Mona Lisa by an external witness who then records the event. It's not really a description of the painting, but it's a sighting of it. The most important description of the painting, and the one that still resonates down to us today, is the one, the description by Giorgio Vasari in his great book, generally called in English The Lives of the Artists, first published in 1550, and then in an expanded version in 1568. And Vasari's account of the Mona Lisa is, of course, very well known, not least because he is the first person to identify the subject of the painting as Mona or Madonna, Mistress Lisa del Giocondo.
Giorgio Vasari, the great biographer of artists, first writing in 1550, wrote this wonderful description of Mona Lisa. It's one of his great, passionate descriptions. And part of it goes as follows. The eyes are bright and moist, and around them are those pale red and slightly livid circles seen in life, while the lashes and eyebrows are represented with the closest exactitude, with separate hairs drawn as they issue from the skin, every turn followed and all the pores exhibited in the most natural manner. Lovely description.
However, Vasari's account of the painting is rather controversial because there are certain things about it that seem to suggest that Vasari had never actually seen the painting. If the painting had remained in France after Leonardo's death in 1519, that would indeed make it almost certain that Vasari had never seen it, because Vasari had never been to France at that point. Vasari was writing his account probably sometime before the death of Francis I, François Ier of France, i.e. in or before mid-1537.
The question as to whether Giorgio Vasari ever saw the portrait is a tricky one. As far as we know, it was in Milan in 1525. This is 6 years after Leonardo's death. And at some point, the King of France had it. So if it went straight from Milan to France, then Vasari wouldn't have seen it. On the other hand, Vasari knew the family. He knew the family of Francesco del Giocondo. Mona Lisa herself, Lisa Gherardini, lived into the 1550s, so he would have known her. So whether she had a version of the portrait even is interesting to think about. So it's an open question, but it's a wonderful description.